Thanks again for joining us on this illustrious day. So I'm just going to introduce you, give you a few questions, and then maybe at the end we could do a little Q&A and you can give some advice about your career.
Okay.
So for starters, can you introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Seanez. Technically, I'm a stagehand. So I work in the event industry, which involves anything from like a meeting all the way up to a large scale concert in an arena or a stadium. I am a rigger in specialty. So within the event industry, I have a specialty, which is rigging and lighting. But I've been a rigger for about 12 years. Um, I actually used to have an office job, and I ended up leaving that because the 9 to 5 just wasn't for me. And now I'm a freelancer, meaning I do not work for anyone. I work for myself. Uh, and I'll be going on tour this summer with Santana.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear. Big tour, you said 20 city tour?
Yeah, about 20 cities, which is actually kind of small. The last tour I did was 38 cities, 54 shows in 2 months for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so can you describe what a day looks like for you as a rigger? Like you clock into work, what do you do?
All right. So So basically what happens is you get a phone call that tells you where to show up, where to go. There is no clocking in, clocking out. It's very much up to you to be an adult and be on time. And we have a saying in the industry, early is on time is late. Basically my day starts out earlier than everybody else. So in the event industry, you have different specialties: lighting, video, audio. And the way we set up an event is we are all staggered. I'm a rigger, I go in first. So basically I lay out the floor, meaning I put all these markings on the floor telling other people where stuff goes. And then the other departments start coming in throughout the day. Usually by noon, we're at what's called working height, meaning all the equipment is about this level. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you ever go into a concert or a venue, like let's say the Staples Center, all the video, audio, lighting, all the stuff you see there, it doesn't live there. The production has to bring all that, set it up, and then when your show is done, they have to tear it down because there's probably a basketball game the next day or some other type of event. So what I mean is we have to literally put everything together like Legos, connect it to these motors that are attached to the ceiling. That's my job. I climb the ceilings, I make these attachment points for the motors, and then we start slowly bringing everything up. We program, we dial everything in, and usually by noon or 2 o'clock, we have it all in the air, ready to go. The talent comes out, they do the rehearsal. Usually doors open around 6, 7, if you've ever been to a show. And then by 11:30, we're tearing it down. By midnight, we're probably done, showered in the bus, and we're doing it again the next day at 7 a.m. That's usually how a tour goes.
So you're the first one there and the last one to leave?
Literally, yeah. That's actually a saying in my industry for my type of job. First one's in, last one's out.
Okay. And to touch on what you said earlier about the 9 to 5, what qualifications do you need to be a rigger and how did you end up in that industry?
Great question. None whatsoever. There are certifications that you can get along your way, but to start out, you don't need anything. You literally just need to have a little bit of common sense. But it's a blue collar job, so you don't need a degree. You can go right into it. And the way I got into it was literally just a fluke. I happened to know somebody that asked for help for a party. And because I was a musician, I knew how to connect certain things. I knew how signal flows work. I recorded my own music, so I knew some stuff. And he basically, my friend that asked me for help, basically went, "Hey, I got a gig at the convention center tomorrow. Can you go help me?" And from there, I just kept meeting more and more people and getting more and more jobs. And that's something that I will emphasize greatly about this, is that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And those friendships can really pay off along the way, because I haven't filled out a resume or a job application in maybe 10 years. It's all just come off of meeting people at different events, different gigs, and hey, you're good to work with. You can listen, or you can pay attention. You work well with others. Can you go help us out with this other thing? And that's basically how the industry works. There's many different paths you can take to it. You can go the union route. If anyone's interested, the Local 33 is the live event union for Los Angeles. There's also 405 in Orange County. And if you want to do film and television, there's a Local 80, I think that's what they're called. So again, you can go to these union houses and apply. You can also go the AV route, which is a corporate route. Events are basically broken down into two different areas. You got rock and roll and corporate. Same thing, same skill set. I do the same. I basically jump back and forth all the time. Corporate AV is more like hotels, ballrooms, and convention centers. You can go apply at AV companies online, like Encore is a great one. Or you can just go to a venue and find out who their labor provider is. It's a labor heavy intensive industry, so you can always start out just by pushing a box. A lot of people start like that. They'll literally go to the Honda Center and they're like, "Hey, I want to work," and they'll just start pushing boxes. And then 10 years later, they're programming the lighting board.
Okay, so to get your foot in the door, you can apply straight to the union, or you can apply straight to AV companies and start pushing boxes, entry level positions, and then work your way up.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's actually kind of hard to go into a company when you already have a lot of experience. To go into a company blindly, like I said, it's very what is it called? Like somebody has to vouch for you. That's usually how gigs come. Getting your foot in the door is actually the easiest part. You just have to be willing to show up on time and just be there. And like I said, you can go the union route, AV. Just search online AV jobs. There's all kinds of gigs on Craigslist. Um, there's actually a section on Craigslist. It says gigs, and you can just put in AV or lighting or anything like that. And they're looking for people that are just willing to unload a truck.
Okay. And can you talk to us and elaborate on some of these pictures that we have on display for the students about these shows that you've worked at?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So on your left-hand side at the bottom where it says a day in the life of rigor, that's actually a setup for Bellator MMA. So
That's the cage where they fight.
yep, that's the cage. And above that, you see that's the truss holding all the lights. Directly right behind me, that's a line array system. That's the sound system. That's what puts out all the sound. Those are literally speakers stacked on top of each other. That's called a line array. If you follow that up, you see two little black things with like, it looks like they're lines attached that go up. Those are the motors that pick up the speakers. That's where I specialize in, is these motors. Yes, right there. Those motors pick up everything that we use, lighting, truss. This truss right here, this is all attached to these motors. And you can see the lines like right here, that's a motor line. There's a cage, there's another motor line that's still on the ground. This picture right here on the top, that's just a wide panel version. We're setting up, I think that's the San Jose arena where the Sharks play. The picture at the very bottom, I just did this tour. It's the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And as you can see, there's more motors. See all those motors? Those pick up a mother grid that then we attach to. And this was a fun show because all those little lighting fixtures that are attached, those actually, they have little pixels in them and they can be programmed to literally show an image. And they're attached to lines. So they come down and up. So they can create this wave effect. And I think Luis has a video of us setting this up on the ground. You could probably show it to you later. But yeah, I started doing more of that lighting stuff because it involves a lot of rigging, attaching to the ceiling, and then programming. It's like I said, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff nowadays with the way technology moves. And if anybody has any IT background, you're already ahead of the game because everything that we use nowadays is connected by Ethernet cable. Everything has a switcher built into it, and everything is because it's all data, it's just data. And how do we transmit data the best way? Ethernet. So if you have any IT skills, you're already above everybody else because we're all trying to catch up and learn IT as the technology evolves. Um, a lot of cables are getting replaced by IT. Uh, Ethernet and all sorts of LANs, Cat 6 cables, Cat 5s, which is before we used to run like really big snakes. I mean, cables like this big. Now we just run two little tiny Ethernet lines.
So you mentioned that you're an independent contractor. So that means you're not working all the time, right? So when you're not working, that must mean you have hobbies. Can you tell us about some of the hobbies that you engage in outside of work?
Yeah. So basically, this is how I got started in what I do. Is I've been playing in bands since I was 15 years old. So that's me with my best friends right there in a lockout room, just jamming out. And because I've always been a little bit nerdy about everything, like I always wanted to know, how does this work? Why does this work? And how does that sound better than that? I've always had that mindset, which just kind of led naturally into what I do now for a living. As far as, and then, you meet these other people through the industry. Like your best friends when you get older are going to become your coworkers. And like these two guys, I actually train them. This is Marty. He is now one of the union heads at the local 33 in Los Angeles. Uh, Rick, he works out of Washington. He's out there doing lighting. But yeah, we all meet up in Yosemite to go camping. Basically, it's all industry people. We go on all kinds of adventures together, travel the world. A lot of people scatter out too. I have friends that I have really deep ties with, but now they live in Thailand or Argentina or Brazil. Um, Another thing I got into doing a lot of video and LED stuff is I like to take photographs of space. So that's my telescope right there. I hooked up a camera, Nikon Z6 telescope, and I took pictures of the moon, the Milky Way galaxy. Um, and again, those are hobbies I actually picked up in the industry with just being around all these great people, because everybody in the industry, in the event industry, is like a really talented musician or producer or DJ or some kind of creative mindset. So that's another fun thing about it, is that there's never dull moments. There's always something to do. I mean, this is just pictures of the stuff I can show you guys. I've done some other stuff that are legal, like jumping off bridges, um, safely attached to things, but I don't have any pictures of that. But I got into that through rigging, through work. We learned how to do all that. We got certified, and we go out and we find these bridges that are okay and safe, and we jump off of them.
So sometimes you're hanging from the ceilings of these venues that people go to concerts to.
Yeah, it's hard to get pictures of those. I really don't have those. If anyone's interested, you can go on YouTube and type in arena rigging, and you can get a really good idea of what it is I do. Like I said, go YouTube, go arena rigging, and some people have strapped GoPros. But the problem is that it's always really dark in the ceilings, and it's just hard to get really good footage. And you also don't want to drop anything when you're up there. So having a phone in your hand is a bad idea. Because remember, you're up there, you're walking on a little beam that's about, it could be 4 inches to 2 feet, but there's people underneath you working. So if you drop anything, it might just break someone's head. So it's never a good idea to have a phone out, but some people have strapped GoPros to their harnesses, and have gotten some good footage. Like I said, go to YouTube if you want to see more of that. Or if you're interested in, the great thing about now is that all the kids coming into this, you have YouTube. I have YouTube as well. Like I literally use YouTube for everything now. There's times when I get called in for a gig, and told, hey, you need to run this type of board. Well, I've never run that type of board in my life. I'll just YouTube it the night before, and I've made it work.
Okay. And kind of what to piggyback on what you said earlier is I could see that a lot of the takeaways from working in this industry is you kind of rub off on a lot of people, you learn from them, you start to collaborate and you picked up a lot of skills from them. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for someone that is interested in pursuing this career path, what advice would you give to them?
That's a good one. So anybody in an AV club or that was ever interested in an AV club or saw the AV kids and was like, I kind of want to do that, but maybe you didn't want to get picked on. Uh, this is just more advanced. This is just more advanced AV, audiovisual. Um, if you like sound, like I said, I was a musician and I was into sound and making sound better, and like, that helped me understand signal flow, which was an important part of the event industry. A lot of people come from theater, uh, and instead of acting, they got into like the lighting aspects of theater, which are huge. If any of you out there are programmers, like you like computer programming, uh, lighting, lighting is just all computer programming. Uh, that's literally what I'm trying to learn right now because I'm doing lasers. Um, and really, you just have to have a good work ethic. Really, that's kind of why I've been able to keep working in the industry and keep going, is because I show up on time. I'm very anal about being there on time. And I've never called out of anything. Like if you're the type of person that will call out because like, man, Friday night I want to hang out with my friends, it's probably not the best for you because they'll never call you again. You really have to dive into it. And like I said, you just gotta want it. And the industry is hurting for people because a lot of the boomers have started to retire, and a lot of people don't see this as a career path. And you can make a lot of great money. I have a friend in Vegas right now that I'm working for. He makes over $200,000 a year. So you can make great money doing this.
Okay. So,
Um,
so people are retiring at a record-breaking rates, and there's a huge demand for riggers and stagehands.
yeah. So if any of you guys are paying attention to demographics in the United States, the boomer generation is retiring, which is the largest generation we've ever had ever, and the incoming generations, they're much smaller. So anything that involves blue collar is gonna be in high demand. Electricians, welders. If you know electricity, you can go into this. Electricity is a huge part. So if any of you guys want to get into this, understand how electricity works at its fundamental levels. Just understand how the electricity in your home works. And what we do in the event industry is just a bigger version of it. Uh,
So
uh,
showing up is half the battle. Being punctual is important. Is there a certain personality type that blends well with this career type?
Definitely not a hothead. You need to be willing to learn. Curious mindset. Um, if you're the type of person that's like, "Ooh, what's that? What's that? What? This is for you." Um,
Okay.
if you are a hothead, the industry will push you out naturally. I've
Okay.
seen it. You will get banned from venues, you will get blacklisted, and it is a very small like community. Like people will hear about you in the East Coast. They'll hear
Okay.
about things you did in the East Coast. So just work ethic, showing up on time, and just being hungry, honestly.
Okay. So it's friendly and fosters a good environment for curious, technical, and collaborative people.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of the blue collar tag. Um, it's work. People are gonna respect you and who you are as a person. I mean, we have HR just like everybody else. We are not allowed to do the same things you can do in an office. You cannot do in this industry. It's the old days of like, old roadies going, mother F. No, those days are gone. Those guys are gone. They've been pushed out. It is a job. It is work.
Okay. Awesome. Do we have any questions for Aaron while we have him on? No. Alrighty then. I think I'll conclude this meeting. I appreciate your time. Thanks again for chatting with our students. And yeah, I hope this inspires, some young individuals that are aspiring to follow this as a career path. So thank you again, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
No problem. And one last thing I forgot to mention is if you're interested in traveling the world, this is the easiest way to do it. I've spent more time in airplanes, hotels, and airports than the average person does in a lifetime. Luis can very much vouch for that. This is the cheapest way to travel the world. And also, if anyone really is interested, go to Luis and maybe you can get a hold of me, and I'll talk to you more about this later on. So thank you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one.
Dude, take care.